SLPP not the name.
One country, one people, oh.
SLPP not the name.
I feel we they come back, oh.
SLPP not the name.
One country, one people, oh.
SLPP not the name.
I feel we they come back, oh.
SLPP not the name.
Come on the road, come on the road, come on the road. SLPP they come on the road, come on the road, come on the road.
I just heard, for the purpose of record, that the chairman of the party conference of the SLPP North America and the president of Dr. Stephen Mana, who happens to be maybe the youthest of the youth, right? Borrowing from Mr. Tijan, he told me something that made me very happy during the breakout sessions. He told me that for the time that he has been in the SLPP, that this breakout session has been the most productive session ever that he has attended. And so I think it's important. And you see, this convention or this conference will come from the National Youth Conference. The actual purpose of this conference, I don't take place today, just now. Everything we don't discuss that groups are very important. So what we are going to do, we are now going to hear from the people that we in, the leaders in those groups. But before that, we want to hear from the man who actually thought about this idea of the youth conference, who explained it to the regional executive, and the regional executive accepted his proposal, and for which we are here in Phoenix, Arizona today. And that is no other person but the leader of the young generation, Mr. Mohamed Bah. I get to introduce him. Yeah, Mr. Mohamed Bah.
Thank you very much. One country,
one people.
One country,
one people.
Thank you very much. Usually I don't have a very loud voice, as you can see. Before I go further with my speech, I just want to thank someone very special. And that individual, when I said very special, is very special. Because sometimes when you hold a political office, the man that will make or break you is the next man that you're going to be working with. And I am so honored and happy to have one of the most dedicated young generation Secretary General of this region, Mr. Hindolo Bennett. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and an honor. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I actually have something here that I want to read word for word, but I just want to make this statement. Again, I'm going back to the people that work with you, the young generation leaders of this region. We have about 17 chapters. I understand not everyone will be fully participated, but for me, I was very lucky to have dedicated young generation leaders of this region that took the challenge when I called them to do everything it takes to make a difference for this 2016-2018 young generation calendar year of North America. And I am so grateful to introduce to you some of them that are present here. They came from different states across the US. And I would like to start, since I'm in Arizona, I would like to start with the Arizona young generation leader by the name of Mohamed Bah. Mr. Bah has been in all of our meetings and a very dedicated young generation leader. And the next individual that I want to introduce, Mr. Bah is in Phoenix, Arizona. Oh, I've been informed that he's in the soccer field. And the next young generation leader that I want to introduce is from Southern California. The first day I talked to him, the only question he asked me was, when are we starting? This individual has been so inspired and contributing so much to the young generation wing that I don't even know how to describe him. He's no other person but Mr. Yaya Tijan from Southern California. And the next individual that I want to introduce I guess some of you have seen our young generation flyer out there, especially the green one, because we have a lot of different ones. The first one was created by this young guy, very dedicated. And he even offered his time today to be our DJ for this event. This individual, we met in 2014, and ever since, he told me one thing. He said, Mr. Bah, if you happen to be the young generation of this region, I'm with you all the way. And I'll never forget that. Maybe he already forget that. And I'm so honored, Mr. Senesi Sama of Northern California, to be part of our team. Thank you so much. And the next young generation leader is from New Jersey. This individual is what I call our editor, our technocrat, and all these other flyers you see. He's been working closely with Mr. Barnett, making sure that everything for the young generation goes successfully. If I call him 10 times, he will pick up the phone 10 times. This individual, I don't even know how to describe him. He's been one of our strategic advisors and a very dynamic young generation from New Jersey elect, Mr. Mohamed Fofana. And I also want to use this opportunity to thank the Arizona chairman, Mr. Oh yes, you see, I just want to make sure, that's why I'm cross-checking with him. There's another dynamic young generation leader that is not here today, but he deserves to be recognized. He's been handling our WhatsApp group. We don't play on that group. He even get me in trouble by removing people and adding people because he doesn't know who is removing. If you violate the rule, he will remove you. He's one of our strategic advisors and our media coordinator, Mr. Alpha O. Mansari. He was able to make it work. Thank you so much, Alpha. And I want to thank the Arizona chairman for allowing us to host this event here. And before I even thank the Arizona chairman, I also want to recognize a brother. This individual, in 2014, I decided to contest the young generation of North America. When I called him, he said, I'm going to be with you all the way. And up to date, he is with me. He is no other person but Mr. Musa Kamara. Thank you very much. He's been in all of our meetings, even if he's not talking. When you call his name, he will say, I'm listening. He's been very, very instrumental. A man that hopefully will give him a surprise today. But no other person but our organizing secretary for North America, Mr. Ishmael Taylor. Thank you so much. He's very, very special. He's been very dedicated to the party. He has served the party for a very long time. And when we make that call as young generation for him to be here, he said I will be there. Our regional finance secretary, Mr. Bonasai. Thank you so much. And I was going to make it short for the Arizona chairman, but I'll go back to why we are hosting this event in Arizona. You know, as young generation, one of our jobs that was highlighted here today was to promote, recruit, and retain people within the party. The Arizona chapter has been a chapter that has been struggling within the SLPP area. And when we took office with Mr. Barnett, the first question was, where do we start and what do we do? And we saw Arizona as an opportunity, a place where participation within the party was going down, was very weak. And we said, wait a minute, why we can't start there? I live in Texas. We can do young generation events in Texas or the East Coast, but let's start in Arizona. At the time, we have plans for Southern California and many other states, about 3 different states. And then I talked to a young lady who, I don't even know how to describe her, but she was very instrumental in the process too, Ms. Fatmata Musa, who also was part of this hosting of the conference here. And Samuel Pieta, who is the new elect chairman, was so receptive, and the entire Arizona chapter has been very, very committed to make sure this event is a success. So I really want to thank the Arizona chairman and the entire executive, because I can't call you by name, but thank you all so much for hosting us. Let me go officially to my speech. Mr. Moderator, Madam Chair, Party Conference Chair, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Young Generation Wing of North America, we are very honored and thankful for your participation in this process, and thank you all very much also for coming. I am more than gratified that through the uninflicting effect of committed and dedicated party members, that we created the atmosphere for the National Young Generation Conference, which has gathered all of us here to sacrifice for our party. As I stand here to welcome all of you, I want to make it very clear that the SLPP, come 2018, we're going to take the State House. I also want to make it very clear out there, this message is going for people who have doubt for our party, the SLPP. Some people are out there saying, APC and SLPP are the long point in this country. Well, I am here today to tell you that you have not read your history. I am telling you to go look back and see where the SLPP have come from. And I will start by telling all those who are watching us and who are not present here today, that the SLPP took 10 years working with all our paramount chiefs in Sierra Leone to make sure we secure independence for Sierra Leone without one single life lost. And we secured that independence in 1961.
Yes.
The SLPP, after we went through civil war for 11 years, the SLPP still come back and end the war. We changed the whole system. We rebrand the military. We rebrand the police. We put the country into a working process. And we do not just stop there. The economy, we make sure there was zero balance before we hand over to the All People's Congress. And today we are in the billions of debt. And people are saying we have not done something. There was a lady that asked a question to me one time. He said, what the SLPP don't do for you? And I told her, all the government hospitals across Sierra Leone, we build them. All the major roads that connect towns and villages in Sierra Leone, we build them. The problem is, and I vividly read about Samuel Pieta on Independence Day, he said they have secured independence and they are handing over traditions and values that will shape our country for many generations to come. But unfortunately, some of the kids that took over from them disappointed us. The system or the mechanism of SLPP never changed. My message here to you, the young generation, first, we must unite. We are presently divided. As many speakers have talked here today, because of flag bearer issues, we are not working together. The good news that I'm happy about for North America young generation, we are working as a team. We have decided to put flag bearer issues aside and put the party first. I don't have problem with people supporting flag bearer, but let's put the party first. The upcoming election is a very, very difficult election. Difficult election because the people who are in power, which are the APC, from history, it is very clear that they are trying to do everything possible to stay in office. And a typical example of that, from 1967 till 1995, these people stay in office. Why? Greed. Why? Because they think that's the way it should be. That's why Sierra Leone spoiled. Not because of we didn't have system in place, but they would stay there for too long. So what am I saying to all the young generation out there? We must unite. We must come together. And we must work as a team to put our party back into office. I just want to thank everybody for coming. Madam Vice Chair, she traveled all the way from New Jersey to be here. The party conference chair, Dr. Mana, also traveled from Southern California with our chairman there, Mr. Bayon, to come here. And there is one other individual that I forgot to introduce earlier when I was talking. I met this individual in 2014 at the SLPP convention. And no, the 2016 convention. And we talked, and they introduced me to him. And the first thing I learned was when he spoke with wisdom, he spoke with charisma, and it makes sense. And I turned to him. I said, you know what? I said, if I happen to be the young generation, I really would like to invite you to come on our conference to address us. And he said, anytime you're ready, just call. And when I made that call, he honored it. He traveled all the way from Canada to be here. And he is the Canadian chairman, Mr. Paul. So thank you so much for that. And there's another individual I would like to recognize too. This man, we live in the same community. He is my vice chair. He's not just vice chair to me. See, when you have a community and you're in a leadership position, it's not about the people that talk. It's about the people that commit. I'm so honored, Mr. Bah, for all that you have been doing. Thank you so much. Today, we always have on this day. And I also happened to talk to a young doctor from Kono, because originally I came from Kono, and I believe I'm a Kono man too, you know. So, and he's a doctor, very young boy. I was very amazed. And I saw him as an example to many of our kids. I introduced my boy to him to say, look at him, he's very young, he's a doctor. You don't have to have gray hair to be a doctor. You just have to be smart, you can be. So I'm so honored. And thank you for what you're doing for our people. He sacrificed you in the war, he lost a lot of lives. He saved a lot of lives, so thank you so much. You know, so I don't want to say too much, and let me end this. His name is Dr. Songo. Thank you very much for the reminder. I would like to end with one statement, and that is the symbol of our party, the pantry. You know, and I decided purposely to leave it last because when I took over as young generation from North America, there was an old man that pulled me on the side. He said, now you don't become young generation leader. Tell me about pantry, what you know. So I looked at him, I just brushed him off, but I didn't understand what he was saying. And then he turned to me and said, you know how many live there in the pantry? I didn't know. But the point I'm trying to make here today, the symbol of our party means a lot. It is completely different from the sign. The purpose of the pantry comes along with it. If you look at the root of the pantry, it has about 13 roots, which represent the 12 districts and the western area of Sierra Leone. If you look at the root, it has little interroots that show the unity of the Sierra Leone people. If you look at the pantry, if you are hungry, it will give you food. If you are thirsty, it will give you water. If you want to make it shade, it will give you shade. And even the national logo of Sierra Leone has two pantries on it with a lion. And our motto, which is unity, freedom, and justice. And our slogan of one country, one people. Thank you all very much.
to welcome all of you here as your YG, but most importantly to say thank you very much for allowing myself and the rest of the young generation wing to serve this region. I also want to use this occasion to recognize our chairman, Dr. Sandy. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with you, and your guidance has led me to where I am today to talk to all of you. And of course, my fellow executive, I'm very humbled to work with you. And I also want to recognize our National Secretary General, Mr. Napoleon Kamara, traveling all the way from Kuruma, I'm sorry, traveling all the way from Sierra Leone to be here with us. Thank you very much for coming today. And of course, to the Dallas chapter, thank you very much for hosting us. Chair Lady Ms. Doris Bangura, thank you very much. Bright. I am here today to talk about what is ahead of us, which is this coming election, the 2018 election. You know, yes, we are all party members and we are all involved in politics. But I want to make something very clear. This election is very critical. And the people who are going to be in front to make sure we win this election are the young people. There's no doubt. Therefore, I have a very good relationship with our present young generation leader in Sierra Leone, Mr. Mohamed Bah, and we've been talking. And based on the talk that we've been holding together with the other young generation leaders of this region, we have come up with plans on how we can help our national executive so we all can win this election. Although I might not discuss some of these strategic measures here, but there are some that I will talk about. And therefore, I want to start by saying that we are requesting this party delegate conference to approve a total of $15,000 for the young generation wing for this upcoming election. And the reason being is, number one, we are thinking of holding a young generation conference in Sierra Leone. And what is the conference about? There is no doubt our party will have inter-fights, inter-problems, and we need to heal these problems. And how do we heal these problems? By bringing everybody together, especially the young folks. It is very, very important. Now, with your approval of this money, we also need computers. What are these computers for? We need to start documenting our young folks within the party. Because when that time comes, we don't need someone to say, oh, who was supposed to be here? We need to know exactly who is supposed to be here. Thirdly, if you approve this money, we need representation. We need to make t-shirts. These t-shirts are not for everybody on the street. These are for our volunteers who are going to be in our polling stations. Because if someone is coming to vote and you see an SLPP representative at that vote, it develops their confidence. It gives them the sense that, yes, I can stand in this line and I can vote because one of his kind is standing at that vote. So we need to make t-shirts. We also need cell phones. Oh yes, because these days, the social media, I don't even know how many people read newspapers these days, like myself, I don't. Because before I wake up in the morning, everything is on my phone. There's a lot of propaganda that will be going on during this election. And we don't want to be left behind. We need to buy some cell phones for our boys. We cannot underestimate them. And most importantly also, if you are paying this money, we need vehicles. We need Okadas. Because for you to move someone from one place to another, and you don't give them ability, but you want them to volunteer, how are they going to do it? So we need to help them So these things can be in place before the date, not the date. Because I'm telling all of you, when that day comes, I know Mr. Napoleon is here, they are so busy, they might not even think about these things. They have so much things to do. Maybe they are even with the flag they are erect, going up and down. So therefore, I believe every sector of our party needs to play its part, which is the young generation. In fact, for you all to know how we have developed good relationship, during the voter registration, we went out together as a team from North America and Sierra Leone on national radio, talk to our folks to come out to vote, to register, which they did. So my presentation here today, again, ladies and gentlemen, is for you to help us so you can make a difference. And lastly, I will touch a little bit about this region, which is, I will touch a little bit about our last Young Generation Conference in Phoenix, Arizona. And before we hold the convention in Arizona, the conference in Arizona, there were many people having doubts as to why Arizona, why not Texas, where we live, or East Coast. The answer is very simple. We cannot leave any chapter behind for us to make a difference. I believe we must grow, we must not go back. The Arizona chapter was one of the few chapters that was not moving. And we take that challenge to help to build them to move forward. And what was the conference about? The role of young people in SLPP and as key agents in this upcoming election. So with that, I will stop here. It looks like my time is out. But thank you very much for allowing me to serve. And thank you, Chairman Salim. Thank you.
Thank you, young generation leaders. Thank you for that.
One country, one people, oh. SLPP not the name. I feel we they come back, oh. SLPP not the name. One country, one people, oh. SLPP not the name. I feel we they come back, oh. SLPP not the name.
Come on the road, come on the road, come on the road, SLPP they come. Come on the road, come on the road, come on the road, SLPP they come.
SLPP not the name. One country, one people, oh. SLPP not the name. I feel we they come back, oh. SLPP not the name. One country, one people, oh. SLPP not the name. I feel we they come back, oh. SLPP not the name.
Come on the road.